Halotations, everybody, this is Ron. and welcome to my review of WWE 2k14. Now, some of the flaws in this game are egregious, and some of them are very minute, so I'll start. The first thing is actually a preference. With Eddie Guerrero, I would have liked for him to have his Ruthless Aggression attire. In the game, he only has his Attitude Era attire, and it would have been nice to at least have his head, both the one from WWE 12 and the one he has in the game by default, available for Superstar heads, but we weren't given those options. And it would have been nice to have those so we could make Eddie Guerrero from ECW or Eddie Guerrero from WCW, along with Eddie Guerrero a little bit before he had passed away. But unfortunately, we weren't given those options. One thing I didn't like about the game was that some of the strikes now have been turned into strong strikes, like the Jigoku Tuki, 10 size move they had in WWE 13, has now been turned into a strong strike, which kind of messes up the rhythm of some of my combos because a lot of the strikes have been turned into strong strikes, so that sucks. Another thing was Bret Hart's theme, and they also did the same thing that they did in WWE 13, where some things you can hear during matches or entrances in the story mode campaign, which this year's had 30 years of WrestleMania. They did it with Bret Hart. In one of his matches, he had his theme, the correct Hitman theme. Yet, outside of 30 years of WrestleMania mode, you have his 2011 thing, Hitman Returns. So it's kind of a bummer. I mean, it's not that big of a deal because you can always give him custom movesets, but, it's, why just not give him the same thing? It's like, I don't understand it. Another thing that I didn't like, certain characters that should have been in the game weren't in the game. Of course, Big E Langston, Fandango. I wouldn't say Rob Van Dam, but it would have been nice to have him in the game. But when the game's trailers first came out, I saw that they had people like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat. I figured, hey, we're going to finally get that Legends of WrestleMania game that we wanted, but with a simulation. Yet, it was multi-generational, and we got a little bit of each era, and I would have liked to have had people like Psycho Sid, George the Animal Steel, Demolition could have made a comeback to the series after their appearance in, I believe, WWE 12 they were in. It would have been nice to have Honky Tonk Man and Doink, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Big Boss Man, but these people didn't make the game. I honestly would have rather had these people rather than the DLC that we have coming out, because if you look at the DLC, most of the DLC are people who consist of, it consists of people who should have been on the game already, people who are, people, other, like, forms of characters that's already in the game, i.e. Kevin Nash, Macho Man, the Giant, and people who really nobody cared that they made it into the game, i.e. Virgil. Other things, entrances, like the Rocks, like the Rock retros, like Brock Lesnar retros entrance. With the Rock Hollywood's entrance, which is an alternate attire for Retro Rock, they could have had 5 Rock entrances. Like, WWE 13 had multiple entrances for plenty of the characters. R-Truth had, I believe, 3 entrances. Daniel Bryan had 2. I believe, no, it wasn't Triple H. The Rock had 2. And here they kind of cut down a little bit. Like, The Rock only had, I believe, 2. I'm not counting championship entrance. But, like, they could have had an extra entrance or an exclusive entrance to give to The Rock Retro. Especially for the Hollywood one. Instead, they had The Rock current entrance for The Rock Hollywood attire. You know what I'm saying? That was, like, a little, inaccurate. Very inaccurate. Brock Lesnar Retro's entrance, not too big of a peeve, but, if anybody could show me a video, I've never seen Brock Lesnar do that, like, crazy back and forth walk pacing thing that he does at the entrance. First, they could have gave him his entrance, um, you know, authentic entrance from WrestleMania 20, but hey. And then the Rock, the Rock in general retro's entrance. Um, the default entrance of the Rock retro is the one he had on WWE 13 for the Rock, 98, 99, and I think they should have just kept the one they had where he just walks straight to the ring and does his taunts once he gets to the ring. That should have been like kept in the game, so you could just give him that entrance. But hey, other things. Let's see. There are some minor attire inaccuracies. Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 12 attire. He had wraps, but they gave him wristbands. It's a minor inaccuracy, but I just don't see why they couldn't, just give him the wraps. But hey. Oh, and Razor Ramon's, like, when you try to give him, like, his green attire, his magenta attire, or his blue attire, Razor always had, like, a regular plain elbow pad and a colored elbow pad, or a logoed elbow pad, but when you try to change it, it, like, changes both of those elbow pads to one color, so it sucks. Minor, though. Let's see. There were I noticed some errors when I was playing 30 Years of WrestleMania mode. I think it was the John Cena Shawn Michaels match. At some point, Shawn Michaels, repeatedly, non-stop, gave me fisherman suplexes and did not stop, and I could not reverse. It was a big deal. Another thing that I didn't like was sometimes I have difficulty reversing. R2 is for the PlayStation 3. If you have an Xbox, I think it'd be RT, which stands for right trigger. And I don't know how it works for Xbox. Maybe it's just my controller, but I just have difficulty reversing sometimes. It's not as easy as it was in the previous game. There are some antiquated entrances as well. Like the Great Khali's entrance has been in desperate need of an update since SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. He's had the same entrance since SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Triple H's entrance. When the McMahon-Hemsley era the first time was going around, because kind of like what we have now with him and a rivalry with Big Show and Daniel Bryan, it's pretty much McMahon-Hemsley era part duh. He didn't do the bow thing when he got on a turnbuckle, so it's like they could have made the entrances a little bit more authentic. Like Triple H's Retro's entrance, he didn't do that when he came out. You know what I'm saying? They could could have omitted that from the entrance. You know what I'm saying? When he did the turn on the turnbuckle, but hey, whatever. But Great Khali's entrance is an egregious sign of laziness. Like, wow. They could even had that entrance as an alternate entrance if you want to create Great Khali heel and had his dance entrance now, but wow. That's all I got to say. Just wow. There are some model inaccuracies too. I think some of the most egregious model fuck-ups, I have to say fuck-ups because that's what they are, were Triple H, Retro, and Roman Reigns. Now, Triple H Retro, his hair wasn't slicked back like that. 2002, later 2002, maybe I'll let you slide. But 2000, 1999, Triple H had like his hair like messy. And he didn't start looking ripped like that until like 2009, maybe 2002. I don't know, but they could have worked to make, like, if you really look at Triple H Retro, and then you play WWE2k, or WWE13, or WWE12, or WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, or WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, or SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, it's essentially Triple H from those games, just with the Triple H from 1999's tights on. Because they just really didn't put forth the effort of making characters look that much different from this counterpart. Now, The Rock, I'll give them that. The Rock currently sculpt does look different, and face sculpt does look different from The Rock retros. I'll give them that. But Triple H just is pretty much Triple H from WWE 13 with old attires on, and quite frankly, I think the other models of Triple H retro, aside from the one at WrestleMania 18 and the one for WrestleMania 16, should have just honestly been retro, alternate attires for current Triple H. But, it's just basically Triple H with hair with old attires on. I just thought that was lazy on their part, you know. Now, Roman Reigns, on the other hand, just looks like he let himself go. Just pretty, like, wow, It's just, he looks fat. Other than that, I'm going to get to the most egregious flaw that I had with the game. Well, online. Now, see, I'm somebody when I get the game, when I first get the game, I don't just play it. I like to see all the entrances, look at all the models and their attires, look at all the tons of new moves, and then start working on move sets. And I think the other day I was, watching some old Brock Lesnar matches for Brock Lesnar Retro so I could edit his move set. Now, the point is, when I do this, is to play offline and have more authentic, move sets to the wrestlers. But when I play online, sometimes I don't want to pick my created character. Sometimes I want to pick a superstar whose moveset I edited and made pretty much dead on to what they do in real life. And yet, when I go to search and create in player matches, what happens is I play close attention. And what I'll do is you have match type, normal, arena, whatever, weight detection, 9 times out of 10 take off, gender, superstars, and then you got, allow user created content, and I have that on. Yet when I start the match, my moveset amends and changes are nowhere to be found. It's like the upgrades never were made, and it's really cumbersome because they weren't paying real good attention. And I even try to do the opposite. Like, if you go to my WWE mode and you try, like, edit Miz's enemies and stuff like that, instead of having Ric Flair as a ally, by default, he's a rival, which was like, okay, somebody really wasn't paying attention at the office. But this is something I think is an egregious flaw, because I have allow user created content on, and my stats to be, like I gave Brock Lesnar Retro 94. He was better to me back then. He did more moves. He put forth more effort to have better matches. Albeit his match with Punk was good this year, but he was more wrestler during those days. So I gave him a higher overall, and that was good, but his moveset was just, it's annoying, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you play in Tekken, and the newer Tekken games have it where you can, like, take one of the default characters and upgrade them and give them abilities and upgrades and weapons and things like that, part of their moveset. It'd be like putting forth all the effort to do that, and then when you play online, the character is basically back to bare bones, back to basics. And it's like, wow, where's all that work I put into this? It's really annoying, and I don't know if anybody else has had this error or this problem, but to me, it's like outstanding, and it really makes me rethink, like, some of these people have to be getting paid to do these reviews and give these games stellar reviews, because I don't think they're really paying attention to details, Like, I don't think the reviews are as meticulous as they should be. But these are some of the errors I've noticed about the game. Other than that, I do think some of the characters, some of the newer characters, should have had alternate attires. Some other characters should have alternate attires. But, other than that, These are the things that I disliked about WWE 2K14. Let me know what you think, and be on the lookout for the things that I liked about the game.